Hi, welcome to the channel. Today we'll be taking a look at how we can get Tonverk to create these generative sequences like you can hear playing now. We'll be looking at the settings needed to vary the note length. We'll be using chord and arp and some other functions. We'll also add some effects to it, a little bit of use of the bus system, how you can set up effects for such things. Let's have a listen then quickly, and then we'll have a look finally how it all is put together. Okay, so I've set up a new project. I've loaded a tone in here. And what we're going to do, I'll go quickly through, just show the settings I use for here for the amplitude. On the attack, I used 7. Then I set this to 79 for the decay time. And I dropped the sustain down to about 83, something like that. And the release I set at 43. And I put a little bit of overdrive on here just to crunch it up a little bit. So I got 24 on that. So those are the settings there I've used. Okay, so that's set up. Now what we can do is we want to modulate this tone when we play it. We want to remain static. So we're going to go to the LFO here. The first one we're going to set up to modulate the amp envelope release. And we'll set this up with a speed of 8, a BPM of 16, and we'll change this wave here to be random. Then we also want to set this to retrig so that every time a new trig is reached, it resets the LFO. And for the depth, we have quite a specific value. It's 39.85. So we'll dial that in quickly. There we go, so that's set up now. So we should get a varying tone length. The next LFO we want to set up, the second one here, is going to be set to tune. And we'll set this up in the same manner. This to 8. This to 16, but we'll use a square wave here. We'll let it run free and we'll just set this to 7. Dial that into 7. Now we get this effect. Okay, so those are the modulation setup for channel 1. We'll now go into the FX and we're going to put a couple of effects in here. We're not going to use these sends because we're going to set up a bus in a minute and use that for our send, so we can ignore this. But we will go here and we will put here function FX. We'll put here a low pass filter. And the reason I'm using a low pass filter here and not the filter on the track is that we get an additional LFO. We've used the 2 here and I just want to use this LFO here. And the settings we're going to use here, we're going to have a speed of 21. We will set the depth to 11. I've slightly offset the spread by 3. Get 3 in there. And the frequency here I've set to 90 with a resonance of 16. So that's now set up. We're sweeping through the filter now. The second FX we'll put on here is the comb filter here. And we'll set this up with the following settings. We'll set the speed to 16, the depth to 25, then we will set the dry wet to 50-50, and I'll make some frequency settings here. I'll drop this to 74.9. Now this is tone specific. You might have to play around with these values for the whatever tone you're using, but these are the values that suited the one I have. It's like a saw wave. And then the feedback we will set to -5. And I think low pass I just set to 125. I really didn't adjust that. Now that's set up, but what we're going to do now, we're going into the modulation for the FX, and we're going to set this one up. So we go down to our second, pass the envelope to our first FX modulation, and we're going to set this up to modulate the FX feedback here. And we'll set this with a value, so yes to that. We'll set this with a value of 8. We can use the function here to lock that one. And also 16. We'll change the wave to random. We'll leave the mode free running, and we'll set this to 14, plus 14. And then we get some new effects in there. Okay, so that's the FX setup. Now we can come out of here and we can go into our chord and arp settings here. So let's go to the chord here, and we'll set this up quickly. This we can set to snap, which means this keyboard is always in the scale we choose. We'll turn on chord, and I set the root as A in my case. Choose whichever root and scale you want, and the scale I set to pentatonic minor, shape 135. Okay, so that's set up. Now we can go to our ARP and set this up quickly. We need to set this to random. The range we will set to 2, and we want to, we'll do this by manually actually. We'll set this to 1, and that sets it to a 16th. Now we have this. Right, so now we can go, we come out of the ARP, we can go and set up our sequencer here. If we press function and page, we'll come into the settings for the sequencer. Now at the moment it's 16. If I reduce that, this reduces the steps, but that does it for all of the tracks on Tonverk, which is not what we want. So if we press function yes again, we can then work on track 1 specifically. So I'll drop that down to 4 now. We're just going to use 4 notes. Come out of there, no. And now we'll set these up. We're going to record and hold this one here. Set a trig, hold it down. The first note we're going to use here is C5. So if I press there, I get the 3 tones from the chord. And what we're going to do is hold that and press function, and we're going to set this to a 16th. Leave the probability at 100. That one's done. Second tone, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to hold this function, change it to a 16th, but we're going to set the probability here to about 60. Should do it. And we're going to set this one to be a G. Third note, same thing again, set to a 16th. Leave it at 100, but we're going to set this one to an E. And then the fourth note, same again, 16th. We're going to set the probability here down to about 80. And the note we're going to choose is the A. Okay, so that's all set up as well. So now if we run this, it's working. We'll adjust our tempo. I had it down in the 60s, 64 I believe. So now we've got it doing its thing. We just need to add some effects to get it to sound nice. So let's have a look at that now then. So we go into function mute and we get access to our routing. If we look at number 1, it's going to AB, but we want to change that to come to here to the bus number 1. This is bus number 1 or number 9. So we've set that now to go via the bus to the main. So we can now come out of that and go into 9, and we'll do some settings here. We'll do some FX settings. here we can set up our FX sends. And the values I used here for the chorus, I changed this to 48. For the delay, 37. And then for the reverb, about 64. Okay, so we've got that set up now, and we're also going to add an effect here onto this bus. And the effect we're going to use, here we come down here, is going to be the filter folder. And we'll add a little bit of distortion, not too much. And this is quite aggressive, so we don't need much. So I set it to about 7, maybe 6. Should be enough. Okay, so that's that set up. We can come out of the bus now. We don't need anything on the bus. And we'll go to our sends here. We'll make some settings here. On the chorus, all I changed here was the width. Changed this to 65. And on track 14, on the saturated delay, I dropped the feedback down to 67. The width I increased to 26. I put on the ping pong. And the time I left at dotted 8s. And all I did was just cut off a little bit of the bottom end of the delay here. So those are the settings there. And then finally we have, which is the super void reverb. And here, I set this at 63, I didn't really touch that, sorry. This one here I set to 70, and I added a little bit of pre-delay. And again, I just trimmed off the bottom here, 23. So those are the settings here as well. And then finally, on the main track 16, I put a compressor. So we can put a compressor on here, and the values I set for this one here, I set the threshold at 82, I dropped down the makeup to 6, about 6 dB, and I put the compression on 100%. Okay, so that should be everything. Everything's set up. We go back to 1 now. So if we press play, hopefully, we should get some generative fun. Okay, as always, I hope this video has been useful, and have a go. A lot of fun to play around with, and take care, and I'll see you in the next video.